guys. My apologies for the late stream here. Let's refresh here. All right, cool. So let's just get caught up on today. And this is going to be good for the stock market right here. Trump keeps realizing, I think, a lot of his stuff has been really aggressive. But there's a few things that are interesting. There's a couple things I wanted to cover. I told you guys job cuts were coming. And right off the rip, right off the rip. And I told you guys the first people that were feeling it was shipping because all of these brands halted all kinds of shipping, especially international shipping. Number one, number two, if there's nothing getting manufactured right now, if factories at a halt, like I think a lot of them are in the United States, then there isn't going to be a lot of domestic shipping either. And UPS is preparing for it. 20,000 jobs already cut. We are going to see unemployment numbers um, jump. I know we are. And like I said, there's so many MAGA people, bro, that just they can't think um they can't be open minded. I mean, not open minded, but they just can't fathom that this could be this could be happening. And I'm telling you, um, it makes total sense, but it doesn't mean that the tariffs are failing. It's just something we knew was going to happen because of the tariffs. We knew this was going to happen. And even Trump had alluded to there's going to be some pain. You got to take medicine, and it's not like it just goes away right away, right? But there's going to be pain, and the concept of the tariffs have always been long term. Okay, and I support the tariffs. I don't think that the tariffs should be so aggressive the way we're doing them now, but I do support it in that. Give me a second. Let me fix my camera. In that we have a deficit issue that needs to be fixed before we can start um you know making this country great again, right, MAGA? Before we can start doing that, we got to fix this deficit, man. And I think that's what Trump is doing, and it's going to be painful, but there's definitely going to be job cuts here. So let's see if I can find some video on this. I've been telling y'all, man, that this was going to happen. I've been telling y'all. Yeah, this is the article that I had seen on CBS. Find something on YouTube, maybe. Yeah, it's getting real.
UPS, in our view, is and has been doing the things to kind of restructure its network to deal with the realities of their business and how much it's changed over the last couple of years. And they're also focusing a lot more on revenue quality. So that would mean trying to win more share of small to mid-size shippers. Also, you noted they're kind of gliding down, if you will, their exposure to Amazon to some of their businesses. That just doesn't make sense. I mean, they're still going to do returns for Amazon, which is a good business for UPS from a margin financial standpoint.
Hey Lee, What kind of visibility does UPS have on their revenue stream? Like, how much is contracted versus how much is just me walking up to a store and shipping a package across the country?
That's a great question, Paul. I think the reality is that they have somewhat a decent visibility into their business a couple weeks out. I think that's really about it. That's just really because it's their customers are really driven by economic activity, and it's really tough to kind of really gauge that those volumes, especially in the current environment, given the uncertainty driven by tariffs, which is why earnings expectations for the second quarter will probably start moving lower as sell side analysts adjust their models.
But in theory, if we put aside the macro for a second, I appreciate you said 2/3 of it is macro. But the Amazon stuff is a good thing for them long term, right? Even though there's near term pain, like those are lower margin packages that they don't want to do anymore. They're going to focus on higher margin packages that could wind up being much more stable and profitable, right?
Yeah, and I actually, said 95%. So I was a little more focused on, us thinking that the majority of the shortfall in the 2Q is really the macro. But
Mm.
yeah, to your point, they're really focusing on revenue quality. They mentioned on the call that some of their business out of Amazon's fulfillment centers just really wasn't profitable for them. So it obviously doesn't make sense to take that business. And if they're able to create capacity by getting rid of some of this business and filling it with what they call SMB, small to mid-sized businesses, that's just going to be a good thing for its margins overall, and it'll allow them to generate the kind of returns that they can reinvest in their network. Because while they're doing a lot of investing in now in automation, and they're closing some facilities just to be a little more nimble than they were in the past. They're still going to continue to have to make those investments because technology continues to change, and those benefits, will need to be driven by those investments.
Lee, a lot of companies are saying, they're not necessarily seeing the impacts of tariffs now, but they certainly expect to in the coming weeks and months. You cover everything in shipping: rails, trucks, the ocean shippers, the air freight guys. You cover it all. Are you seeing it now? Because I've actually seen some reporting over the weekend that maybe fewer ships are sailing from China to the U.S. Are you seeing it anywhere in your space?
Yeah, we are. And to your point, bookings from China to the U.S. are down 30 to
Mm.
40%, depending on
Wow.
which press reports you read. Some of that is obviously there was a pull forward effect in our view before the tariffs were going into place, so
Yep.
people were rushing to get stuff out. So we don't know really where that's going to lie. Shippers are going to either they're going to take the stance where they're going to be like they're going to sit back and wait to see what happens. Some are continue to do business as usual, and they're just going to try to push off the costs um, uh, uh, associated with tariffs to customers, which obviously will be inflationary, or a mix of the two. So really, it'll be interesting to see how things progress. And at the end of the day, we might wake up tomorrow morning, there's no tariffs, right? So who the heck knows?
UPS announced its plan to cut about 20,000 jobs and close more than 70 facilities this year. This comes after UPS reached a deal with Amazon to lower its volume by more than 50% by the second half of 2026. UPS CEO Carol Tome said while Amazon is their largest customer, it's not the most profitable. So when the contract came up this year, UPS decided to reassess that relationship.
President Donald Trump's
Yeah, so that's rough because they had just cut their contract with Amazon, which was a huge revenue driver, maybe not profitable. But I just feel like it's bad timing now with what's going on. Now they're letting go 20,000 people. You got the union guys who feel secure and stuff, but management and the employees that are corporate, it's rough. It's gonna be a rough time for UPS and FedEx and all of them. It's gonna be slow. So and So this is something I was looking at because a lot of people don't know that UPS has a union. It has a union and it has like the corporate side where management is the corporate side, the employees are on the union side. And the employees, they have a Teamster pension fund. Okay. I want to show you guys UPS's stock real quick because it's rough, man. It's not looking amazing here. You guys can see in 2020, it had been booming because of the pandemic, right? And look how much it's dropped. It is back down to pre-pandemic numbers, guys. It crashed all the way down to pre-pandemic numbers. And this is not good for the corporate side, for the corporate employees of UPS who have a 401k and have been buying UPS stock or have been getting stock from UPS. Now, the pension fund, from my understanding, isn't tied to UPS stock, but from my understanding, it could still be negatively impacted by declining profits. And sometimes this is the problem with oh, I wasn't showing you guys my screen. Here it is. So this is the stock during the pandemic. It was booming. You guys see that? And let me zoom in a little bit. That way you guys can really see it a little bit better. Okay. You guys can see where the stock is now. It's at $96.73. And pre-pandemic, shoot, it was higher pre-pandemic. It is lower than pre-pandemic numbers right now. It came crashing down. This is not good for the employees who rely on a 401k with UPS. And so let me find that. Actually,
Your 30 guys burn.
let me clean this up. I got a whole bunch of stuff here. I gotta clean up. All right, that helps. Oh, here it is. Okay. Says right here, UPS is the largest contributor to many Teamsters pension funds. For some plans like the Central States, UPS contributes hundreds of millions per year. If UPS experiences declining profits, which it is, lays off union workers, which it will, freezes hiring or closes using unionized facilities, they're definitely going to freeze hiring, or even goes out of business, then contributions to the fund drop dramatically. This starves the pension fund of new capital needed to pay existing and future retirees. Early retirement or buyouts constrain the liabilities. Fewer active workers equals less inflow. Pension funds need a balance between active workers paying in and retirees drawing out. If UPS cuts union jobs or shifts to automation contract workers, there are fewer contributors, tipping the balance unfavorably. Okay. Like, this is, you guys remember the how the UPS workers were they were they didn't want to work, right? They were negotiating their compensations and okay, cool. Thanks, Angel. They were negotiating their wages and I mean the wages were insane. What was it? Let me see. UPS new wage new salary agreement. Look at this. It says right here full-time drivers will see an average rate of $49 an hour. $49 an hour is the average driver's wage. And it's like, damn. I understand UPS makes a lot of money, but you know, they negotiated, from my understanding, this was in 2023, based on, the numbers that we saw here, which we know. And I could be wrong about this, but it looks like if they were negotiating in 2003, which was around this time, this was in the peak of the company's performance. So, it's almost like they thought, employees and union workers used that to their advantage to negotiate these higher pay rates, which I don't know if they deserve it or not. I'm not a hater here. Get your money if you can, but I also think that sometimes we can be a little bit aggressive and kill the very blessing that's been paying the bills. And it's looking like that's what's happening here. And that's scary for all the current employees there and the future employees there because, the next time, this is a 5-year contract. So 2028, if UPS hasn't turned things around, it's scary, man. It's scary. So that is the first like big news where I see job cuts are going to start, but this is just the beginning. I think there's going to be a lot more. It's not just going to be in shipping and logistics. It's going to be um, all the industries. It's going to be interesting times, man. So, not trying to scare people or anything like that. Just trying to keep you guys informed. But anyhow, Angel, what's up, man? Let's go into Trump's first 100 days in office. Let's watch some of this.
Tens of millions of Americans are turning elsewhere to get their news and their information. That's why we've welcomed in openly independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, content creators, and we will continue to do so. President Trump and our White House also believe strongly in the First Amendment, which is why our team has restored the press passes of hundreds of journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the Biden administration. So thank you all so much for coming today, for your interest in covering the historic achievements of President Trump's first 100 days. And today officially marks 100 days of promises made and kept by President Trump. Our primary focus is how President Trump is in the process of rebuilding the world's greatest economy, just like he did in his first term. President Trump has created 345,000 jobs since taking office in January. Last month's job report, we saw 100,000 more jobs than economists predicted. It was the fourth highest month for private payroll growth in the past 2 years. 9,000 manufacturing jobs have been created and added to the economy already since January, and that's in comparison to the 6,000 manufacturing jobs that were lost per month in the final 2 years of the Biden administration. So each month we were losing 6,000 manufacturing jobs under President Trump. In just 100 days, we've added 9,000. The U.S. unemployment rate remains at historic lows. The labor force participation rate for those without a high school diploma is up. Good news for working class American families. And the veteran unemployment rate is down as well to 3.8% in March. When we came into office, it was 4.2%. Remote work among federal employees has fallen over 16 percentage points from March last year to March this year, showcasing the success of President Trump's initiative to bring federal workers back to the office. We know middle-class Americans, hardworking people, they have to show up to the office every day. We expect bureaucrats and government workers to do the same, especially when they are living off of the taxpayer's dime. If you want to work on behalf of the American taxpayer, you should show up to work in person. Thanks to President Trump, Americans are seeing the first price relief in years. The last inflation report showed the first consumer price decline in years, a decrease in energy prices, and real average hourly wage growth. President Trump is delivering on his promises to lower costs for American families and businesses. Prescription drug prices are down. Last month's drop in prescription drugs prices was the largest ever recorded. And thanks to President Trump ending Joe Biden's reckless war on American energy, gasoline prices and energy prices are down as well. The cost of wholesale eggs has decreased more than 50%. The President Trump inherited a complete mess from the Biden administration, who totally botched their response to the bird flu. They were killing chickens. They were killing our chicken supply in this country, which led to an increase in egg prices. And the president and Secretary Rollins did an incredible job attacking that on day one.
That's what that was. This whole time. That's what that was. I got it. Hold on. Let's watch this again.
The President Trump inherited a complete mess from the Biden administration, who totally botched their response to the bird flu. They were killing chickens. They were killing our chicken supply in this country, which led to an increase in egg prices. And the president and Secretary Rollins did an incredible job attacking that on day one. On the deregulation,
I saw the bird prices, but I didn't realize it was because of that. The bird flu.
Deregulation front, President Trump is launching the largest deregulation campaign in American history. He has blocked all of the unfinalized Biden-era rules, which has saved us more than $180 billion already. He's launched a bold multi-agency effort to roll back existing federal regulations that drive up the cost of living on hardworking families. That has yielded more than $755 billion in total savings as well. And as you all know, investments from companies around the world continue to pour into this country. Every morning we wake up to a new headline with a new company from a different country announcing major investments in our country. What does that mean for people in your communities across the nation? It means jobs. It means Americans going to work. It means Americans providing for their families, for their children, living the American dream. That's what those investments will do. It's truly the golden age of America. And that's why the president is working so hard to leverage good trade deals around the world. He knows America is the best place in the world to do business. He is using our leverage to negotiate good deals with countries around the world, to onshore manufacturing jobs here, to revitalize our middle class and our manufacturing industry, and also to protect our national security. I don't think any American agrees it's good that China currently supplies and produces our chips, our pharmaceuticals, and our critical industries. We want those things built in the United States of America. And President Trump is the first president in modern times to actually do something about that. So with that said, today is 100 days. There have been so many achievements, not just on the economic front, and the president continues to work very hard on tax cuts as well. And on negotiating those trade deals. But look at the success at the southern border, which we talked a lot about yesterday with our border czar, Tom Homan, Secretary Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller here at the White House, all of whom are doing a tremendous job and have created, at the president's direction, the most secure border in American history. We have a mass deportation campaign of illegal aliens underway. We are removing heinous criminals from your communities across the country every single day. We are making America safe again. And if you look abroad on the world stage, the president is really using his peace through strength foreign policy approach once again to the rest of the world knows that America is back. I know Joe Biden used to say that, but we're stealing it from him because it's actually true now. With President Trump in the Oval Office, the world is a safer place and will continue to be. So thanks for coming to the Influencer Briefing. I look forward to taking your questions. And Deborah, why don't you kick us off?
Congratulations on 100 incredible days. And over the first 100 days, the majority of policies that we've seen from the Trump administration have been either targeted at foreign affairs, such as bringing the American hostages home or attempting to end the war between Ukraine and Russia, or on long-term goals such as cutting government spending with DOGE. What policies can we expect to see rolled out over the next few months that Americans will directly feel the effects of in order to secure the 2026 midterms for the Republican Party and keep his approval rating historically high?
Yeah, the first answer that comes to mind, Deborah, is definitely tax cuts. The president is working closely with Congress as we speak. He met with leadership from both chambers. The administration met with leadership from both chambers yesterday to talk about how we can quickly pass the largest tax cuts in American history. And the president promised on the campaign trail he wanted no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security for our hardworking seniors, no tax on overtime pay. He intends to keep those promises, and he needs Congress's help to do so. That's why he's working closely with them. But you look at, again, I talked about the leverage the president uses to negotiate good trade deals around the world, but he uses that leverage right here in Washington as well on Capitol Hill. He has great relationships with leaders on both chambers, and we are confident that we can pass a massive tax bill which will directly lead to more money in people's pockets right away. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so the president has really wanted to end the war in Ukraine for a long time now and has been working on that in the first 100 days. We've seen President Zelensky come here, as well as the president meeting with President Zelensky just in the last couple of days. I'm wondering where those talks stand and if the president is optimistic that that conflict is going to wrap up shortly.
The president is optimistic yet realistic about the incredibly complicated and unfortunate situation happening with Ukraine and Russia. First of all, this is Biden's war. It would have never started if President Trump were in office. There is a reason that Putin did not invade Ukraine when President Trump was in the Oval Office, and it's because, again, President Trump leveraged the the power of the United States to warn Putin not to do it. And the president has spoken about that in those direct warnings to the Kremlin that he gave in his first term. And then we had a mentally incompetent president in Joe Biden who didn't even know what day it is, never mind knew how to prevent war. And the entire world took advantage of that and took advantage of America's lackluster leadership abroad. And so we've had this terrible war. The president talks about it all the time. He's briefed on it constantly. There are men dying on the front lines of this. An entire generation is being wiped out. And enough is enough. The president has made it very clear he wants to see this end at the negotiating table, not on the battlefield. He has spoken directly to both sides of this war. He most recently met with President Zelensky at the Vatican when he attended the funeral of Pope Francis. And he remains optimistic that both sides will come together to negotiate peace. There are a lot of complexities on both sides of this war, but so he's realistic about that, but he is optimistic that we are moving in the right direction. And if you just take a step back and look at where we are now, where you have concessions from both sides publicly, where you have ceasefire proposals from both sides. The president's made it clear he wants a permanent ceasefire first, but you actually have the United States talking to Russia. You have the United States talking to the Ukrainians on a daily basis, communicating with both sides. Look at that compared to where we were when we came into office, where neither side was talking. There was just one approach to ending this war. No one was really talking about a peace deal. We were just talking about continuing to send blank checks to continue funding the fighting and the killing. This war has been a meat grinder. Young men are dying. Women and children are dying as a collateral result of the military conflict, and the president wants to see it end as quickly and soon as possible. And I can tell you, watching firsthand, he has exuded a tremendous amount of effort into this war. He's getting frustrated with the amount of effort this has taken, and he's made that clear to both sides, but he remains optimistic that we can get this done.
We'll finish watching this, but I want to cover this question right here. I've been interested in why Trump wants to repeal the CHIPS Act and that was put forth by Biden. You know, a lot of times, a lot of it is just because you don't want to give credit to a certain administration that was before you. But I did do a little bit of research here. Shout out to ChatGPT. It's my one of my best friends at this point in my life. What is it? Right here. So here we go. One of the reasons is the critique of corporate subsidies. Trump argues that the CHIPS Act represents unnecessary government spending, labeling it horrible, horrible thing. He contends that providing substantial subsidies to already profitable semiconductor companies is wasteful, and that these funds would be better used to reduce the national debt. I agree with him there. We're not talking about an industry that needs the subsidies to forge itself, to become something. So that because it's important to the future of our society, similar to the subsidies that we're giving to Tesla, for example, because they were the leaders of EV technology in America. And it worked, obviously, because the number one selling car is the Model Y now. So it worked. And the government really wanted people to embrace and adopt EVs, electric vehicles. That's not a problem for semiconductor companies. They don't have a demand problem. And the technology is growing so quick and like they don't have a research and development issue either. And they definitely don't have a profit issue where electric vehicles weren't profitable for a very long time. Tesla was definitely the leaders of profitability with manufacturing electric vehicles. And it took a lot of money, a lot of research, a lot of work to make that happen. That's not a thing for semiconductor companies. So why are we subsidizing them? That makes sense. And I don't know why the left, they typically are against profitable corporations most of the time, right? At least that's what it seems like. Obviously, that's just my opinion, but that's a good reason. Number two is a preference for tariffs over subsidies. So Trump believes that imposing tariffs on foreign-made chips would be more effective in encouraging companies to manufacture semiconductors in the U.S. He suggests that the threat of tariffs has already prompted significant investments from companies like Taiwan Semiconductor without the need for subsidies. This is true as well. In the past, um, and I actually disagree with this a bit, but I get why he's doing it, right? Like his thing is tariffs, and these subsidies are kind of a conflict of interest, right? It's counterproductive for what Trump is trying to get done. But I do believe in incentivizing versus um, what I call punishing, right? And an example of that would be, Obamacare and how he was fining people in their tax returns if they didn't sign up for healthcare. Um, you know what I mean? Like that was wild to me. Do I have a channel for haircuts? Yeah, go to Tune 45. Look up Tune 45 and you'll see the channel there. Lots of haircut tutorials and stuff. So, not just that, but if you join the free Tune 45 school, plenty of haircut tutorials on there as well. All right. So what I was saying about the incentivizing, um, like I don't like the punishment mentality from our government. I'm okay with tariffs, obviously from an international level, and so I can see why the TSMC thing is beneficial for America. But like for American companies, incentivizing them to to be part of um, this industry is good. And an example of that is like what would they call it? Um, Let me see. I'll give you an example right now. Terrible search. Oh, like the top opportunity zones tax incentive, right? And before I even bring that up, was that even successful? You know what I'm saying? Let me see if that was even successful. Let's get some data here. Man, I love ChatGPT. Bro, this is game changing. Like, I'm addicted to learning now because of this thing, man. It's insane. Yeah, so they said opportunity zones. The successes were that it it uh it had a substantial inflow of investment capital to these zones. They have calculated $48 billion um, had been invested in these opportunity zones, and this is via the tax foundation. Uh, Lots of real estate development. Now, some of the challenges and criticism was targeting issues. Like a lot of the zones were already experiencing economic improvements, gentrification zones, right? Limited impact on residents. So, some people think it was a failure. So, I guess I'm wrong a little bit here, right? Anyways, number three is opposition to regulatory requirements. So the CHIPS Act includes provision related to diversity, environmental standards, and labor agreements. See, there was some woke stuff in there. So that's another reason why. Concerns over effectiveness, point to delays and financial issues in projects funded by CHIPS Act, such as Intel's postponed plant construction. Yeah, so this is happening a lot with a lot of these incentives. People take advantage of it, and we never see anything from it, right? Like the EV charging incentives, we haven't really seen much of that. Like there's a lot of weird stuff here. So political and strategic considerations. So those are your reasons. It makes sense. I'm not saying that he's right or wrong, but the argument's there, and I understand it, and he thought it through, and it is counterproductive to the things that he has going on. You know what I mean? So, no, I get it.
Brendan.
I was wondering if you'd indulge me in a quick round of Trump trolling or Trump truthing.
Sure, let's do
Okay,
it.
good.
Love it.
Rapid fire. Greenland joining America.
Definitely Trump truthing.
Oh, Canada becoming a 51st state.
Trump truthing all the way. In the
Why is this guy Why is this guy dancing? Canada. So Trump single-handedly ruined the election for conservatives in Canada. He single-handedly helped the liberals get into office again when they were down by like 30%, 30 points or something like that. In the election, it's like the biggest comeback ever in Canadian election history. But I do want to cover that, and I think I have a few perspectives here, and I'm pretty much in the middle of in this. I actually think Trump kind of got what he wanted out of it. Like, he doesn't care who's in office in Canada. He doesn't care. There's something that he does care about, and he's getting it. So it's almost like he's doing like the art of the deal with Canada worked out exactly how he wanted to. And I know it doesn't sound like it, just by listening to the media and what they're reporting. But once we get to that topic, we'll talk. We'll get deeper into that.
The Canadians would benefit greatly, let me tell you that.
Eliminating the IRS?
I think that is an optimistic goal, and the president, so I would say we're on the side of truthing there for sure. And the president, again, wants to see tax cuts, and he wants to see this massive revenue that we can gain from tariffs as well, which will create the external revenue service. So that's a definitive goal for sure.
And most importantly, Trump 2028.
Trump trolling. Although the hats are flying off the shelves.
Thank God. Thank God she said that.
Link, go ahead.
So one thing I've noticed in the first 100 days is that the White House is crawling with kids. You have a young, beautiful baby boy. There are babies everywhere. There's so many young folks on staff who have kids. But the last 4 years under Joe Biden, parents are really stressed and ravaged. They had to take on 2 or 3 extra jobs. Depression rates were up. Suicide rates were up. You're a very high-profile young mother who seems to
I thought he was going to go somewhere else with the whole kids thing. I will say this. I do like the press secretary. She answers questions. She's got some edge to her. I don't know who her parents are or how she was raised, what her background is, but I respect her.
Juggle and balance it all beautifully. What advice do you have to young parents out there who are starting their careers, having kids, building families, and trying to find that balance so desperately?
Man.
Well, it's a great question. And first, to the heart of your premise,
Really
it's true. The president has empowered not just me as a young mother in this role, but there are so many new moms and dads on our senior staff in the West Wing, but also across the entire administration. There are working moms and dads who are owing our country public service for President Trump while raising young families. And the president really empowers us to do that. And I commend him for that. He doesn't get enough credit for it. But as for the president is implementing policies every day to uplift young families and young people. He talked so much about young people and talked directly to young people so much on the campaign trail. It really, I think, inspires him when he is around young people and a young audience. And he wants to restore the American dream for the next generation, not just our generation of young folks, but our children and our grandchildren. What does that look like? Home ownership, the ability to afford a home, to live, to have a good paying job. That's part of this effort to onshore jobs, because you have an entire generation going to these incredibly expensive and liberal higher education universities, coming out saddled with debt and then unable to get a good paying job. The president wants to put an end to that so that young people can provide for their families and truly live the American dream. So to young people around the country, the president hears you, he sees you, he loves you, and he wants to uplift you. And all of the policies he's implementing every day are to provide a more prosperous and safe and free America for future generations. You're welcome. Sure.
Nice to meet you.
Hi,
Caroline.
you too.
Thank you so much for the time.
Sure.
Tagging off of Link's question about young people, one of the most pressing challenges for Gen Z right now is the lack of home ownership. As of 2025, I believe the median age is 38 years old of first-time home buyers, which is, a hindrance to starting families for a lot of people. How does the Trump administration plan on tackling this in the next 4 years?
It's a major issue. As you mentioned, that's directly impacting young people and young families. And the president is I think tackling it head on already. The reason that homes have become so unaffordable is because of the massive inflation crisis caused by the previous administration. Not just the cost of a home, but everything that goes into building a new home went up and through the roof, right? We also saw mortgage rates reach incredible highs under the previous administration. So a few things. The president wants to bring down the cost of living, which he is already doing, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, which will increase our supply of homes across the country, but he also wants to bring down mortgage rates and interest rates to make it easier for young people and all people to borrow money, to take out those loans, to buy your first home. And so we got to increase the supply, bring down costs, and bring down interest rates and mortgage rates. And by the way, those are all things the president successfully did in his first term. When he left office, inflation was a record low, 1.4%. Interest rates, mortgage rates also hit record lows in his first term. So this is a proven economic formula that works. It takes time to get there. We are in the process of the golden age. The president and the admin are slashing regulation every day, cutting red tape, cutting costs, and we need, again, Congress to pass those tax cuts to put more money back in people's pockets so they have greater purchasing power as well. You're welcome. Sure.
Hey, Teresa, and we go with Independent Women and WMAL.
Oh, great.
We love working with the administration to really tout policies that work for families and work for businesses in this country. Next week is
What happened?
Business Week, and I know that the SBA will be, championing all the small businesses, the millions in this country, almost half of which are women-owned. But I'd love to find out what the president feels about independent contractors who are not typical W-2 employees, not 9-to-5 workers, but who hang their own shingle. They're 1099 workers. We saw the Biden administration really try to crack down on that small business entrepreneurial spirit, and we're hopeful that the administration would overturn what the Biden administration did and maybe even work with Congress to pass some lasting changes, codify some lasting changes that would protect, your ability to be self-employed, your ability to be a small business owner.
Well, the president is a businessman at heart himself, right? He's a real estate developer, and I think that's a large reason the American people elected him the first time and the second time, because they trust in him. And small businesses are the backbone of our American economy. I come from a small business family myself, and the president knows what small business families need and independent contractors need, entrepreneurs need. You need less government in the way. You need less regulation. You need low energy costs, low taxes, a low cost of living, a low cost of goods. And that's exactly what the president is focused on doing, while simultaneously effectively leveraging tariffs to protect our middle class and our working class and our manufacturing base. You look at our auto industry, think about Michigan. It used to be the
When Kamala Harris was asked these very similar questions, she wouldn't even answer.
The heartland of the auto industry of the world. It was the auto capital of the world. And unfortunately, so many of those jobs have gone overseas. And so the president wants to protect good paying jobs here at home and unleash the might of our economy for small business owners. And that includes removing red tape and cutting taxes. And as for independent contractors and what the president would hope to do with Congress, we'll definitely check back in on that and get you an answer, because it's an important question. You're welcome. Sure.
Hi, Will Upton, the National Pulse. You kind of gave us an overview of negotiations between Ukraine and Russia 100 days in. What would the next steps look like, though, if we don't reach an agreement by, say, this summer? And also, can you give us an update on the rare earth minerals deal with Ukraine? And is there any kind of response from the administration to Greenlandic Foreign Minister Vivian Motzfeldt and some of her comments about maybe seeking aid with China?
Sure. To your first question about the critical.
All right. So those were all good questions, man. I think the first 100 days for Trump, it's the first 100 days. And it's been a damn TV show. It's been a movie. But I also don't think it's been horrible. There's a lot of great things that I think he's done. A lot of things that he's promised, he's doing. He's been working his ass off. The last administration, we barely heard them speak. We barely saw them do press conferences. All we saw was the press secretary. A lot of times, man, they were just politically correct answers, fluff, a lot of hiding, a lot of it just wasn't. It just didn't feel right. Just this administration, I feel like
if Trump ain't doing a press conference today, the press secretary is, JD Vance is, they're all in the public. How often did we see Kamala Harris do press conferences and go speak? Did you see JD Vance bring his wife to India and speak to the all the leadership there? You didn't see Kamala Harris doing stuff like that. It's very interesting. It was very weird in my opinion. So I can see the glass half full here, and I want America to win. I want our president to be successful. Shit, I wanted Biden to be successful, but and you should if you're a patriot, if you care about this country, and I do. I think this country is very important to the whole entire world. But nonetheless, man, I can tell you, all the reasons why the people voted, and the majority of people voted for Trump to be in office, and it was based on the policies that he was pushing. Because I know for a fact the majority of people that voted for Kamala, most of them were voting against Trump because they didn't like Trump. And most of those people didn't even know his policies a lot of times. I mean, there's it's just interesting just seeing it all unfold. And he's not perfect by any means. No politician is. And I don't like the way he's handling. I don't like how aggressive he's being with the tariffs. I don't like how aggressive he's being with illegal immigration. I think there can be a balance there, even though it is a huge problem, and he solved it 99% down as far as illegal immigration is concerned. There's things that, and the way he's pissing off all these countries like Canada, like for me, it's comedy. It's not even that big of a deal, in my opinion, like a lot of people make it out to be. But speaking of Canada, let's look at what just happened in Canada, because Canada just had its election and it did not go the way people thought it would go. And then we're going to go into Amazon beefing with Trump pretty much. So, yeah, let's go look at this. You see, and this is, okay, so I want you guys to see this. This is how we covered this a little bit yesterday. Both the Conservative Party and the Liberal Party in Canada both made statements and came out and said they will never go for Canada becoming a state. They both want Canada's sovereignty. But because Trump kept doing the 51st state thing, it's like Canadians pay attention to American politics a lot more than they pay attention to their own. For good reason, right? We are a very important part of Canada's society. They benefit a lot from us. I think that you can say that objectively, right? And just him doing the 51st country thing, what I think happened is that because media is majority liberal, and that's a fact, that's a fact no matter how you put it, majority of media is liberal. It's easier for them to take things that Trump says and use it against the Conservative Party in Canada. And so what it became was, it wasn't that they were voting for this guy. The guy was down 30 points in polls. This is the biggest comeback in history, from my understanding, in Canada elections. And what you see here, it wasn't that people were voting for this guy. It was that they were voting pro-Canada. They were being patriotic. And the media did a great job, from my opinion, of making the Conservative Party look like it was Trump's party. Even though Trump he's not running in Canada. He's not a politician in Canada. He's an American president. But they made it Carney versus Trump, essentially, is what they did. And because Trump kept tweeting 51st state and all this stuff, what happened was you had a shit ton of Canadians flip because they were pro-Canada. And you can just hear it from the way that this guy's speaking. that he's running with this narrative that America wants to take Canada, wants to just take over Canada, make it a 51st state. That's what America really wants. But I don't think that's what Trump wants. I think Trump is getting exactly what he wants, and I'll break it down in just a bit. Let's watch this.
As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
See what I'm saying?
We are once again at one of those hinge moments of history. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The system of open global trade, anchored by the United States, a system that Canada has relied on since the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped deliver prosperity for a country for decades, is over. These are tragedies, but it's also our new reality. We are over.
You know, this is not good for the Canadian economy. You know, I think this party did a great job of making the Canadian people emotional and voting based on their emotions, not based on what's best for the country, because both parties were running on sovereignty, not on joining America. Nonetheless, they played it great. The narrative, they got the emotions of the Canadian people to vote patriotically. The problem is that it sounds good, but now what this guy's saying is that they are going to break away from the U.S. as much as possible. And when you talk about pain of change, when Canada's economy is not good, no one out there can afford their own homes. The Canadian dollar is not doing well. And now you guys are going to go deeper in the hole and figure it out. Okay, cool. But do y'all realize this is what Trump wanted? He wants the European Union, he wants the UK, he wants everyone in NATO to be less dependent on America. He wants everybody doing their fair share. He wants Canada to stop depending on America, and he wants them to figure it out, to worry about themselves, figure it out, because he doesn't want America to continue to get into deeper deficits, into deeper debt, because we're spending all this money on foreign affairs, and Trump is just saying, "Bro, I want to put America first. You put Canada first. We'll put America first, and everybody's happy." People are acting like Trump took an L here, and I don't see it. I see this is exactly what Trump wanted. That's why he kept trolling on this idea, because the conservatives in Canada, they like the way Trump operates. Shit, they would work with Trump a little bit more. But Trump don't care if Canada works with the US, bro. Let me show you guys this. And you tell me who's going to suffer here. Canada's economic dependence on the US. As of 2024, approximately 76% of Canada's goods exports were destined for the US, while about 50% of its imports originated there. This heavy reliance makes Canada's export base one of the most geographically concentrated among major economies. The integrated supply chains, Canada imports roughly 34% of its intermediate goods from the US, yet exports about 75% of its domestically produced inputs back to the US. This reflects a deeply integrated North American manufacturing ecosystem. Energy. Canada is the largest foreign supplier of crude oil and natural gas to the US, with nearly all of its energy exports directed southward. So, huge customer. We're a huge customer of Canada's. The auto industry is highly integrated with parts and vehicles crossing the border. Another huge industry that we are, or industry that they benefit from, the U.S. consumer. And And so the outlook, while Canada's economic ties to the U.S. remain significant, recent developments have highlighted the vulnerabilities of such dependence. Efforts to diversify trade partners, yeah. So here's the other thing. Does Canada have a military? They better increase that budget. They better increase that budget, man. I don't know. It's scary times. But this is good. I mean, it's going to be painful for Canada. It's going to be a little painful for America too. But it might be a good thing that they diversify, because at the same time, Canada is not nice to American brands. Every time I cross the Canadian border, I get interrogated. Either me or somebody in my group gets interrogated every single time. One time I got interrogated for 2 hours because I brought my clippers with me, because they thought I was going to work at a barber shop and they wanted to make sure I was going to pay taxes. I go to shows. I don't even cut hair at the shows anymore. I just shake hands, talk to people, take pictures with people. I'll do a class, but it's not even a haircutting class. But man, they do not play. When it comes to them making sure that they get their tariffs, they get them. And the moment America wants to do reciprocal tariffs, it's an all-out damn war, trade war. What do you guys think? So yeah, so Canada, look at this, guys. This is the agreement that Trump is always complaining about. And he's got a point. So for NATO, Canada's supposed to be spending 2% of their GDP into defense. And they don't do it. They don't do it. Look at where America is. You know, European nations need to spend 5% because they benefit the most from this whole NATO agreement. Like they're literally going to have to spend double in defense to just meet NATO's agreement. But if the US gets out of NATO like they've been talking about doing, man, I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember when the Philippines and Canada got into it, and the Philippines would talk about invading Canada and shit. People, yeah, interesting times. All right, what's the next topic here? Oh, so with that being said, we were talking about the Canadian elections, and I wanted to look at this because Abba and Preach. I don't know if you guys know who Abba and Preach is, but I love their channel. Whether you agree with them or you don't, they're real, they're raw, and they're Canadian. So I wanted to hear their opinion. I think it's the first few minutes they gave their opinion on what happened with this election.
Everything in Canada. Yep. The moment this man started talking about taking over a country, everybody changed.
Canada's governing Liberal Party, led by Prime Minister Mark Carney, has won the national elections for a fourth term in a remarkable comeback prompted in part by unprecedented attacks by United States President Donald Trump. The Liberals beat Pierre Poilievre's main opposition Conservative Party on Monday, after millions of people voted in snap elections.
And it really goes to show you that, like, even for me, I felt more Canadian when that happened. I think even in Quebec, there was a bunch of people be like, yeah, we don't like these Canadians, but we Canadian too.
Yeah, all the people that wanted to separate from Canada. Yeah, because there's a big thing about separating from the rest of Canada in this province, and all of them were like, "Yo," and yesterday I was at the game.
Talk to me.
Now I was at the game. Yeah. So the game, Canadians
versus Washington Capitals.
Washington.
Oh yeah.
Washington.
I mean, yeah.
How loud did you think that Canadian anthem was being sang by?
Every time the Canadians sang "Freedom,"
that's
like Braveheart.
That's the first time you got Quebecers singing the Canadian anthem in French and English.
Yeah. No, it's definitely been a big change. Pierre Poilievre ran an incompetent campaign. Because I can assure you, if he presented a healthy alternative, one that could combat a lot of the claims made by Trump about the 51st state stuff, you would have had way more votes. But you just didn't come across that way, and as a result, the party loses. And I think the conservatives are going to have to change the way they approach stuff. Because I think the odds of them winning in the future election are very strong if they put a candidate forward that's electable. And I just don't think Pierre Poilievre is that person. And again, I'm not somebody who voted liberal in the last two elections.
He was until like a real threat happened. You know what I mean? The conservatives lost for the same reason that the liberals in the States lost. You didn't run your shit properly. You were talking about things that, okay, so what? Give me some consistency. Give me something that's going on with what's actually going on right now. Don't talk about, okay, to do this, to do this, that. What's your plan, girlfriend? It's like his only thing that he had was Trudeau, and once he was gone, you had nothing else.
Then slogans.
Carbon tax Carney.
Carbon tax Carney.
Carbon tax Carney.
Carbon tax Carney.
Carbon tax Christia.
Carbon tax Christia. Carbon tax Christia.
Axe the tax.
Axe the tax.
Axe the tax. Axe the tax.
Just like Justin.
Just like Justin.
Just like Justin.
I will say, one of the funniest things is by the time the voting had already started, everyone had put out their platforms except their conservatives. 2 days after the voting had already begun, then they put out this, like, it looked rushed. And I was like, bro, you've had how many years now yapping about Trudeau and his issues? Cool. You still haven't put out a plan or anything in terms of your platform. So that was a mind-blowing moment for me where I'm like, these guys, you know what they were running on? They were running on, we're better than Trudeau. If all you're doing is saying, I'm not as bad as this guy, and then that guy's no longer there, then what does it matter? So I think this is an election that they lost, not that the Liberals won. Because when you see the point swing of how things shifted so drastically.
No, I didn't.
They started December 30th, 2024. Yeah. That is, what, 4 months ago?
Yeah.
Okay. They're at 16 points of the total vote share. By the time Trump was making these comments and January 27th already hit, liberals shot up. I think Justin Trudeau was still prime minister at this time. Yep. Conservatives dropping. Then, by February, just 1 month later, the lead has narrowed to 37% to 40%.
They doubled.
And then Mark Carney comes into place, and then they jump up to 46%, and then conservatives drop to 38%. And here's the problem for conservatives. They need to be well in the lead for them to ever be able to be elected, especially as a majority. Why? Because a lot of the ridings are traditionally in Ontario and Quebec, and that's where the majority of the population exists. So that vote share is always going to be way more important. So you have to have a majority of the overall vote share to ever be elected as a conservative as of now in the way things are currently set up. So you just see the way things have shifted, and you're looking at the conservatives like, are you guys just you guys not realize what's happening right now? So I remember looking for the responses to everything.
So just on how you dealt with this election, I can't see you dealing with a country.
Yeah.
That's you oversaw all those things. You didn't see this coming.
Yep.
And you want to run a country? Nah, I'm sorry. B.
Yeah, it's going to be also interesting to see the shift because I think two parties are about to change drastically now. The Conservatives are going to have to change, and the NDP is going to have to change. And I think our democracy is always going to be substantially better when our alternatives are healthier and present real opportunities for change. Right now, Jagmeet said he's just happy to stop Paul Poilievre from winning, and then Paul Poilievre is just happy with beating Trudeau, who's like,
yeah, it's a nothing burger. Either way. The whole point of what I was showing here was just to put, man, I don't think anybody lost in this election. I think the people who lost the most are going to be the Canadian people, who are going to continue to suffer from heavy taxation, unaffordability. Now Canada's going to have to is figuring out less dependency with the United States of America, which was their biggest ally for the longest time. It's just, I don't know, man. It's not, I don't like where Canada's heading, but might be a necessary evil. We'll see. Cool. This one right here was interesting. This was interesting. So yesterday we talked about how Temu and Shein, they were putting, when you placed your orders, they were putting a import tariff fee. So they wanted the customer to see that the increase in price is because of the new tariff taxes, the import taxes. And to me, right away, that screamed politics. That was a way for these Chinese companies to point the aim the blame on Trump, pretty much, on America. And I thought it was creative. It's not good for Americans. But I knew that was going to happen as well, right? I just didn't know that they were going to actually list it. Let me see if I have a screenshot of it, actually. Let me show you guys. Yep, here it goes. So I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll zoom in a little bit. There it is. There it is, right there. So you guys can see import charges. This is from the Temu app. $46.97. So this item went from $32 to $78. Insane. Well, you see it and you think that's clever. It's definitely politics. But it's clever, and it's a great way for them to point the aim at Trump and make Trump look bad, right? And it's a Chinese company, so you expect that. But then Amazon, which is an American company that has enjoyed subsidies from our federal government, tax write-offs and all these things, that has enjoyed crazy substantial growth because of how big the American market is. I don't think Amazon could have been created in any other country. It took a holistic effort between an amazing consumer population with American people. It took the government subsidies, and it took amazing entrepreneurship from Jeff Bezos. Don't get me wrong. They all, he deserves his credit too. But for them to do this, do the same thing that Temu and Shein is doing, I can see why it pissed off our administration. So let's take a look at that.
Joe, one real takeaway here from this briefing was the news that broke just before those two took the podium, that Amazon is now going to be displaying how much of an item's cost is derived from tariffs. We are seeing reports already. Prices are starting to go up in certain sectors, at certain stores, certain industries. Now, Amazon is going to show you, if you go to their website or their app and click, and I'm going to buy this, it will show you how much you're paying because of President Trump's tariffs. The press secretary deemed that a, quote, hostile and political act by Amazon. We know, of course, that Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, also owns the Washington Post and other interests, has really cozied up to Trump in these first 100 days. We'll see what happens there next. We're going to hear from the president himself later on at this rally in Michigan to mark 100 days of his term.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's just a business, it seems to me, protecting their relationship with their customers. I suspect you will see Walmart, you will see Costco, you'll see other stores that are going to be explaining why prices are going up if they do in fact go up because of tariffs. And again, some in the Trump White House may view that as a hostile act. It seems to me to be exactly what everybody's been saying. The Wall Street Journal editorial page and other conservative economists have been saying for years that tariffs are a hidden tax on consumers. And so that tax won't be so hidden if Amazon, Walmart, and other companies decide to show how much those prices are being increased because of.
And, they're not supposed to be, like, some of it obviously is going to be passed on to the consumer, obviously. But, I think Trump thinks that a lot of the businesses in America will be patriotic and will try to make the cost work because of the long-term benefits of this, right? So I think that a lot of companies are going to try to cut cost, but they can only cut so much cost. They're going to have to increase prices, and that's where it's going to affect the consumer. But when they're cutting costs, that might actually mean they're cutting jobs as well. Look at UPS recently. And that affects the consumer too. So, yeah, I guess at the end of the day, a lot of it is a hidden cost, right, to the American people. But it's the pain of long-term successes is what this administration thinks. Let's look at CNN's coverage about this Amazon issue.
And there's new reporting on a phone call between the president.
And the reason why I like this coverage is because we find out, actually, CNN reached out and got confirmation on whether or not Amazon was actually going to go through with this Temu strategy of import fees.
President and the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Sources telling CNN that the president at one point wasn't happy earlier today about a report he saw regarding the online retail giant. Amazon then clarifying their plans. Let's get the latest from Elena Treen, who's at the White House for us. And Elena, you got the scoop about this Trump-Bezos call. It all has to do with a certain section of that website potentially showing shoppers how much Trump tariffs might cost them, right?
That's exactly right. So essentially, I'll just give you the breakdown of how this played out as, it is according to the senior White House officials I spoke with on this. Essentially, there was a story published this morning by Punchbowl News that said Amazon was considering to show the cost of tariffs on Amazon's website next to its prices to show the breakdown of how much more the tariffs were making these products cost. That was something that then one senior White House official who I spoke with called President Trump about directly to inform him of it. Now, this is what one of those officials told me the response was. They said, quote, "Of course he was pissed. Why should a multi-billion-dollar company pass off costs to consumers?" Then we learned, and this is according to two senior White House officials I spoke with.
See what I'm saying? I think Trump is, it's not going to happen with the smaller businesses, but with huge companies like Amazon, who have a direct line to Trump, like Jeff Bezos and Trump have each other's numbers. You better believe that's going to piss Trump off because he wants Bezos to fall in line pretty much.
That the president was so angered by this, he called up the founder of Amazon himself, Jeff Bezos, to complain about the potential plans that were being reported on. We also heard White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt say publicly that they believed that the move was a hostile political act. All to say, after all of that, the White House making very clear their position, both publicly and privately, Amazon then seemed to backtrack. They had one statement come out from an Amazon spokesperson that essentially said, quote, "It was never a consideration for the Man Amazon site, and nothing had been implemented on Amazon properties." They said it was only going to be for certain products on its website. But then when I reached out to Amazon, they sent me a different statement saying it was their latest version of it. And essentially it added and made clear that it was never approved and not going to happen. So I think it's just a pretty remarkable story, really, of how this all played out. And really, I think the bottom line here is it shows that this White House did not want the tariff prices and the cost of these tariffs being shown. They were also, really taking issue with the fact that some of the costs of the tariffs could be passed on from Amazon to consumers.
And Elena, on the
because it shows, it becomes political, and at the end of the day, like, especially a huge corporation like this, that's so damn profitable at this point. This is what people complain about when it comes to capitalism, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm for capitalism. I'm good with capitalism. I'm not saying otherwise, but it's not a perfect system. No system is perfect, right?
On the auto tariffs and the president's event tonight, what should we expect?
Yeah, look, this is something that we heard confirmed this morning from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Essentially, the president is going to be signing a new executive order today. We're told he'll sign it on board Air Force One as he travels to Michigan for his rally to mark his first 100 days in office. And essentially, the order is going to ease some of the tariffs on automakers. Now, I was told in my conversations with White House officials that this came after the president had spoken on multiple occasions with different CEOs of the major automaker companies. And this is something as well we heard Scott Bessent say that they want to try and help these automakers. They want to encourage them and motivate them to bring manufacturing to the United States. And in order to do that, they might have to soften the impact of some of the tariffs that we're seeing the president roll out. Now, this executive order, some Commerce Department officials walked through some of the details with reporters. It's very wonky, but I want to give you kind of the 50,000-foot view, Boris. Essentially, the 25% tariff on imported cars still remains, and that's going to continue remain. There's also going to be a new tariff going into effect this week, and another 25% tariff on parts, auto parts coming into the United States. However, this new order will give the ability for some of these automakers to get reimbursed for some of the 25% tariffs, but then also they really are looking at trying to prevent domestic-made cars in the United States from being tariffed in the same rate that auto cars would be tariffed, as well as the foreign parts of different tariffs, even in domestically produced cars. All of that to say, it's very complex, but it's clear what they're trying to do here. They're trying to ease the impact that some of these automakers are feeling, and really their bottom line goal is to encourage manufacturing in the United States. That's the bottom line with what they're trying to do here, and you are seeing the stock market respond kind of favorably to the news of this, Boris.
All right, so I guess, this is good for the stock market. This is good. But what I think is now that Trump is easing on tariffs, for those of you guys who didn't dollar cost average, weren't in the stock market and sold everything, got scared and all that, Yeah, I think with this attitude going forward that Trump has with easing off on tariffs and sounding like he's willing to change his mind on certain aspects of tariffs, I think the stock market is going to continue to grow now. Now, it's not going to be perfect by any means because earnings is going to be down, profit margins are going to be down. Tesla's profits were terrible. It's an uphill battle at this point with all these tariffs on automotive parts. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. All right, let me see if I can get off of politics. I want to get off of politics. Oh, right here. Let's do this. 100 men. This has been viral. I've noticed this has been very viral. 100 men versus one gorilla. Who wins? All right. I'm going to give my opinion, and then we'll watch a couple of these clips. I want to hear y'all's opinions too. To me, if we're just talking about it's in a room and it's 100 men circled around one gorilla, I think the gorilla tears 100 men apart, especially if it's 100 average men. Tears them apart. I think if it's a bunch of Navy SEALs, 100 Navy SEALs, the men have a chance, but they still will probably get torn apart. Let's see what these guys say. And 100 men's a lot of people, but a gorilla, bro, it would be like me versus a bunch of 8-year-old kids. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, nah, it's not. I don't know. Let's see.
There is a question that needs to be asked. D-Butt?
Yeah, I know we had, obviously NFL draft this weekend, bunch of big playoff games. So I don't know how much you were on X, but it's a big, important question. And I know you're a philosophical guy. 100 dudes versus silverback gorilla. Who comes out with the win, and what will be the plan of attack?
I'm going with the 100 dudes today from Chicago.
Okay.
In the city of Chicago, we rolling. We gonna figure it out. It's 100 to 1. I like them odds. It's just one silverback. We gonna come on now. We from the crib. We gonna figure something out. We gonna make that work.
Okay. Now what happened after we see what happened to the first, let's say 5 or 7 dudes?
10 maybe.
Yeah. The front line. Who gonna be those front liners?
Yeah,
there has
to be a second wave at some point. Who is gonna? You think there's enough there? You think there's enough that are gonna rally?
If it's 100 of them, we gonna work it out, man. You know what I'm saying? They said it's a fight. They didn't say fair. They didn't say what we could grab or what we could hit with or what we could do anything with. Right? I didn't hear any rules to this, so we good.
I think it's hands. I don't think you could shoot
no guns.
I don't think maybe a stick. I don't know if because they could get the gorilla could
give you a
technically
baseball
get a stick.
bat. You got a baseball bat. Yeah. Good luck.
No, it's an octagon.
It's an octagon.
In an octagon.
No, we need space. We need space.
Big octagon.
Listen, if it was a jungle, men would figure it out. But we're talking about in a room.
We
need a breather. We need a breather sometimes. We need a medical department at some parts. We need to figure this thing out. Us first. The gorilla's so strong.
So strong.
You see,
pretty fast. They're pretty fast too.
Especially when they're pissed.
When you said the octagon, I don't know about those odds.
Quinn Richardson changed his mind.
That was a great conversation this weekend on
Imagine 20 sumo wrestlers though, just going in there.
So check this out. I asked ChatGPT, and it came out with some bars, bro. Look at this. All right, so here's some facts on the silverback gorilla. It is 350 to 500 pounds of dense muscle, 10 times stronger than a fit adult male, can run 20 miles per hour. Its bite is stronger than a lion's bite. Thick skin, powerful bones, high pain tolerance. 10 to 1, no weapons. The gorilla wins every time. It's a wrecking ball. Now, 100 men unarmed. If we're talking average, untrained, unarmed men in jeans, most would run. A few might try and get shredded. You need sheer numbers dogpiling it, overwhelming it with weight and grip. Eventually, they could restrain it, maybe suffocate it, or break bones by stacking weight. but it would probably take 20 to 30 casualties to get there easy. So, and that's the thing. I don't think 30 men would sacrifice themselves, go first, straight at a guerrilla. I don't think they would do it. So check it out. This is the smart plan of attack. To win efficiently, you need coordination. 20 plus guys distract and tire it. Bait movement, confuse it. 40 plus dogpile from all sides. Grab limbs, wrap around its back, lock joints. The remaining 30 to 40 join in waves, reinforce grips, hold legs and arms, aim to break bones or choke it out. Ideal strategy, keep it on the ground, don't let it stand or swing. Humans win by numbers, not individual power. Brute force alone doesn't work. They need group strategy like hunting tribes used on large animals. If the gorilla panics and swings wild, it could break skulls, spines like twigs. So in short, 100 average men can win with casualties unless smart coordination is used. Strategy over strength. I think that's a good argument, but I just don't think it's realistic. I think it's going to be chaos. I think people are going to be running, and they're going to get shredded, bro. Shredded. That's what I think happens. Although it's possible that they can win through sheer numbers. There's my argument for 100 men versus a gorilla. Saw it from all different angles. That's hilarious. All right, now let's see what's on the web on YouTube. Oh shit! What happened here? Damn.
We saw what we just saw. I don't believe this. This is incredible. Wow.
Indiana is moving into the second round for the second consecutive season. For the first time since 2011 through 2014 when they did it 3 consecutive times.
That is, I've been a part of some crazy endings in games. That is right up there with them.
The 8-0 run occurred
What's going on here?
in the last 35 seconds.
That is just a shocking way to win and lose a basketball game.
Giannis with 30 points, 20 rebounds, 13 assists. Gary Trent Jr., 33 points.
It's a nothing burger. It's just emotions. It's an emotional game.
And here it is.
No. Gary Trent.
He kind of looked to see where the defender was, expecting to get a foul, and then here, Giannis just gets caught in between. He attacks that front left foot.
That's a big play on Giannis.
Rising on the court. See Giannis there. Everybody trying to keep everyone away. And you see Turner telling his team to head back toward the locker room. A lot of lingering going on in the court after this. Obviously, the celebration of the Indiana Pacers and the disappointment of the Bucks. And Porter leaving the scene. We see Giannis now coming over. Him hard.
Good sportsmanship, man. That was just, it's an intense game, man. That's basketball.
Got James Johnson out there just to calm everything.
I'll tell you what, not everybody can play basketball. Everybody can. People don't know the shit that be said on the courts, and it gets real, man.
Between Orlando and Boston, for Taylor Rooks, Greg Anthony, our entire NBA.
But this was not, this What channel is this? House of Highlights. You know, you got me to click, but this was definitely clickbait. Alrighty. What? There was a video I wanted to watch here. Yeah, you can write off 6FB. You can write off 6FB. Ain't what I was looking for. That's insane. This guy's videos always showing up on my channel.
Sounds pretty down bad. I was, losing my house and all that kind of stuff, and so I've been able to rearrange where I'm able to save my house. So
awesome, good job.
Save my house. I was able to get caught up on my car, so it's no longer getting repo. I don't have to hide from the repo man. I was literally living in my car, like at night, hiding, parking lots.
Wow. Damn, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else been going on?
Yeah, just those different things. But as far as my diet, I've been struggling with that. Recently changed my diet to more of like a plant-based kind of diet. I still get protein in it. I still eat like chicken, lean meat, but I've been eating a lot of fruits and veggies and stuff like that as of late.
Okay, have you lost any weight?
So the weight, no, I have not really been checking on the scale. I've been kind of
How?
scared.
Why would you not be checking on the scale, bro?
I went to the doctor's. That's the only scale that can weigh me, or I go to like a weigh yard. So I weigh like 611 pounds was my last weigh in.
Okay, did you join the group I told you to join last time?
No, didn't. I do have a scale right here, but the scale is like super bouncy.
Hold up, slow down. I don't need to know the scale. Why didn't you join the free group so you can get some free accountability, bro?
I couldn't find the group.
I was posting it in the YouTube chat.
Oh, okay.
It's the Modern Man Challenge. This is where the Modern Man Challenge is a free group that I created.
You know, I always wonder. It's hard to talk to people and help them in this type of environment a lot of times. Like, it's almost like you want to be a fly on the wall and just see what their daily routine looks like. Because that answers most of people's problems. To be 600 pounds, homeless, all of these things. You know, it's insane. It's insane. And I feel bad. I feel bad for the guy, you know. He needs somebody that loves him, who cares about him, to push him. But then it's difficult because I've been in that position where you don't want to push people too hard that you push them out of your life because they start avoiding you. Because you're the only person in their life that holds them accountable, makes them feel uncomfortable. And a lot of times people like this want to feel comfortable. And man, it's so much deeper than an accountability group. There's a lot to this, man. It's tough. But I feel for the young man. I feel for him. I would love to see him do, a glow up and win. But it's just much more complex than a lot of people put it. Humans are so complex. I think what I'm gonna do is actually learn some shit. I'm gonna start learning some shit. I need to focus back on my main businesses, my main focuses, and that is Tune 45, headlines, barbershops. And then where's my phone? I don't know what happened to my list, but it's gone now. I used to have a wallpaper. I don't know what the hell happened to it. There it is. So Tune 45 was Wetline and Clippers. There's only a couple problems. Clippers are being affected by tariffs and supply. We can't keep up with demand. So we're going to be limited on supply. Limited supply, I should say. Let me do this. Limited supply. And then the wet line, we're still waiting on some of our SKUs, but I could focus on what we do have, and that is aftershave. That is hair. No, we don't have hair tonic yet. That is aftershave. We don't have clay. We're out of freaking clay. We have powders. Powders. And we have no drip. And for those of you guys who don't know much about me, here is my main business. This is Temu45.com. Show it to you guys right here. All right. This is my main business, and we created from the ground up a lot of innovative products, I like to say. So this is our hottest products right now, our clipper and our trimmer. And this was a collaboration with Babyliss Pro. It's a Conair company. We have different categories. So you can see here, we have hairstyling products. We have performance upgrades for like clippers and trimmers. We have shaving products. We don't really have apparel, but we created this product, the Power Pods. We own the patent for this. We weren't first to market because a 3D printing company came out with theirs before our mass production model. But we do own the patent, and we created this. We also created wireless charging and own the patent for internal wireless charging in clippers and trimmers and electric cutting devices. We also have probably the top selling color enhancement product, which people love and hate because of enhancements. But we have a full line. So we have like a cleaner for airbrushes. We have the clutch cards, no drip, the Barber pencils, and the enhancement machine. Aside from that, man, like I said, we have a bunch of other products here. Like the main ones that I'm trying to grow here are hairstyling products. And so we have a full line now, waiting on our inventory to come in for the rest of our pucks. But we're super excited about that, about our pucks and stuff. But yeah, this is our website. And we've been in business now for 9 years, I think, 8 or 9 years. And I'm super, super proud of this business, of this company. So these are the Power Pods. Really cool video of that. And like I did this to show how cool, like before station, people should be looking crazy after a few haircuts. And then how nice and organized your station can be if you adopt the Temu45 ecosystem with the Power Pods back there, the wireless charging mat, the clippers and trimmers, no drip, enhancements, everything's there. And then there's like cool like lifestyle images, you know. These are like the Enterprise, the brands in the Enterprise. Some more lifestyle images. We can get the Beam Team, the clutch card, all that. This is the YouTube channel with all of our YouTube tutorials. I could probably be much more involved. I need to be. And we haven't uploaded in a while, it doesn't look like. March 3rd, March 9th, March 16th. No, we've been uploading. March 28th, April 3rd, April 11th. Yeah, April 22nd. Okay. We've been uploading. So at least once a week we upload a haircut tutorial. We need to do more stuff. But yeah, this is one of my brands. This is dumb. Bolt up. I get my information from everywhere. I like to hear different perspectives. I like to hear different opinions. I don't close the door on anything. And I don't get I go to YouTube and I go to the news in YouTube. I use AP News as well. I use X as well. But like, what a stupid comment. Just a dumb comment. Stick to barbering, dog. In what aspect of life are you better than me in? Like for you to sit on a to think you can sit on a pedestal and tell somebody that they should stick to barbering. In what aspect of life are you better than me in, bro? I will invite you onto my live stream right now. We can have this conversation because it's just shit like this, man. Shit like this is just. Let me just continue. All right, so anyways, this is the website, and you know I can improve. I can try to improve conversion rates. We run ads. Our ads print. They do great. Like I can tell you. Let me look at some ads right now. Like I'm showing right now a company that does multiple 7 figures a year that has made me multiple 8 figures since its existence, and he's telling me to stick to barbering. Oh, retarded, bro. Like this is what I spent on ads in the last few weeks, or in the last month, about for one of the companies that I own. $13,000. And it's got a 6 ROAS. That means we are generating 6 times the revenues, or 6 times what we spend on ads. And this is just on one sales channel. This is just on Meta. So 6 times 13,000, let's say, that's $70,000, $80,000 just from Meta ads in one company. Sure, dog, I'll stick to barbering. Man. Y'all think y'all so damn smart, but you so freaking dumb that you discount people based on your perception, and you want to talk about, oh, you get your information from CNN. Where do you get your information from to come on my live stream and tell me I should stick to barbering, stick to haircuts? Where do you get your information from? Because you out here saying some dumb shit, bro. Here's another company. Let me show you another one. This one, we spent $15,000 almost in the last month. And it's getting a 4.6 ROAS. You sure I should stick to barbering? Penny, shut up. Shh. Off. I know. He pissed you off. I know, baby. I know. I highly recommend, guys. Shut up. Regardless of what you are, if you're a barber, if you are a landscaper, if you are a janitor, if you are an employee at somebody's business, invest in your skill sets. Invest in your skill sets. You should learn marketing. You should learn paid ads. You should learn how to use AI. You should constantly be learning, because you're not limited to where you are now. You're limited to where you want to become, where you want to go, what your vision is. You feel me? So why'd you decide to move out of your house and into an apartment building? Change of pace, lifestyle. You know, I was living in the suburbs. I've lived in the suburbs my whole life. And we were going through a lot of pain in the last year or so. We lost some family members. I lost my mother, my brother-in-law, and my wife was definitely depressed. I was depressed, and we just wanted a change of scenery. So we moved to the downtown area, and it was crazy because we had no plans. My wife came out to the downtown area in Tampa, hung out with a friend of hers, had dinner, brunch, that type of thing. And she loved the vibes. She loved the environment. And she called me and she's like, I think I want to move to downtown. I kid you not. A week later, we had this lease signed and we moved into this place. I rented out the house I was living in, and now we rent here. We've been here a little bit over a year. We renewed our lease for one more year, but the plan is to, at the end of this year, start shopping for a house nearby. So we won't live in a high rise like this, but we're gonna live in South Tampa, which is 5 minutes from here. And we're gonna try to find a house just because it makes sense with the kids and stuff. Although I do love this lifestyle. When the kids are gone, when they're in college and shit, me and my wife will probably do this again. So, but yeah, I rent this apartment. I love it. I'm enjoying it. I love the area, the lifestyle. Definitely another level of people. People are in shape. People make good money out here. The average income, the average household here is like $150,000. You know, like I think the national average is what, 70 something. Let's see. Actually, I'll check. I'll check Tampa. Tampa average or median. Let's put median household income. $71,000. 71,000. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Uggs. So yeah, it's about double in the area that I live in now. Yes, sir. Shout out. Let's watch this.
70% of users look to its platform for their next purchase. Instagram isn't just a platform for pretty pictures and funny reels anymore. It's basically one of the world's biggest online malls and a continuously growing marketplace. With algorithm changes and user expectations evolving, it's time to adapt now or forever get left behind. And with more than 2 billion monthly active users, you do not want to get left behind. You're going to want to watch this video until the end because we will be unlocking the secrets to leveraging Instagram for your business the right way. We'll cover Instagram audience growth strategies, how to run effective ads, how to connect your e-commerce store to your IG, how to make reels go viral, and so much more. So congratulations, you have just selected the YouTube video that explains in detail the step-by-step roadmap to not just survive, but thrive on Instagram. So forget those generic tips you've heard 1,000 times in other videos. On this channel, we are diving deep into practical, actionable strategies that actually work. First up, growing your audience organically is the foundation of everything we'll cover in this video. Growing your audience organically without relying on paid ads is of utmost importance because it attracts followers to your page who genuinely care about your content. This leads to higher engagement rates, and you want that. These organic followers are more likely to interact with your posts, recommend your profile to others, and become loyal supporters. And in general, it just makes you as a brand more credible while also ensuring that your growth continues. To grow organically, start by optimizing your profile. What does this mean? It's just a fancy sentence that means that your page bio should be clear and enticing. Ideally, it should also have a direct link to your website. If you don't have a website yet, more on that later. Focus on creating high-quality, consistent content that resonates with your niche. This means creating posts that align with both your brand identity and audience expectations. This approach is about maintaining a balance between engaging visuals, meaningful messaging, and regular posting. Let's take Brooklinen's IG as an example. As a bedding and home essentials brand, Brooklinen creates visually appealing content that emphasizes lifestyle and relaxation. Their strategy includes leveraging customer reviews and featuring aesthetically pleasing home setups to attract an aspirational audience. With an occasional funny meme like this penguin post, or this Seinfeld reference to add in a little more personality and relatability. Use trending audio for reels. Your captions are important because it leads to higher watch time. Try writing strong hooks that encourage people to read until the end. You can also add interactive elements like polls and questions to your Instagram stories to spark conversation, which also counts as engagement. Regularly engage with your audience through stories and comments. Got a comment? Perfect. Don't be rude and make sure you reply to every single comment, especially if you're just starting off. Post at optimal times and collaborate with like-minded creators or brands. This will expand your reach and boost your brand's visibility. Don't know when that is? On your profile page, go into your professional dashboard. Under Insights, tap Total Followers and scroll to the bottom to view what days and time they are most active. Oh, sorry, it's been a couple minutes since I've checked my Instagram. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, okay. People spend a lot of time on IG, myself included, so your best chance at getting the attention of potential customers is meeting them where they already are. Let's talk running ads on Instagram. IG ads can be a game changer, so utilize the Facebook Ads Manager to create targeted campaigns. Have no idea what that is and how to get started? No worries, we've made a video on this channel called How to Run Meta Ads that you can watch right here. Start by identifying your audience demographics and interests and experiment with different formats like carousel ads and story ads to see what resonates best. Here is a step-by-step guide on how to run ads on IG. Step 1, set up a business account. If you don't already have one, convert your Instagram profile to a business or creator account by going to Settings, Account, switch to Professional Account.
Let's just work. Let's just work. You guys shop on TikTok a lot? I don't fucking know. What's this say? Starting your businesses, what would you do when you felt overwhelmed? I don't know. I think you just get through it. You just, it's just part of the business. It's just part of business, man. It's part of being an entrepreneur. You're overwhelmed. When you're not overwhelmed, you've probably conquered that thing that was overwhelming you, right? Or those things. And so a lot of times when you're overwhelmed, there's a few things you can do. You can delegate, which means get help, find help. Or what you got to do is you got to tackle the most important things. And sometimes it's just a day of focus and just getting shit done solves a lot of that overwhelm. You know what I mean? Sometimes procrastination is the real reason why you're overwhelmed. And if you put a list of things that are on your mind and you prioritize them and you just focus for a day and just only work on that list from the most important stuff to the least important, that'll knock out a lot of your overwhelm. Sometimes that's what you got to do, and it's like a mind game. It's difficult, but this guy never sent me the code. Fuck. He did send it to me. It's too late. Damn, man. All right, never mind. That's crazy. How long did it take to go from self-employed to investor? I don't know. Like, it feels like 10 years, like a decade. It feels like, yeah, like 10 years, man, of hard work, bro. How to
fellow e-commerce founders. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can scale your brand so fast it feels illegal, okay? And here's a little proof. First of all, I'm a brand owner by myself, right? So I run multiple e-commerce brands. I coach and consult many other e-commerce brand founders, just like you. But here, just a little proof. So over the last 90 days, I made 2.2 million euros with one of these stores. Okay, here, refresh so that you can see this is real, this is not fake. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the old way, right, of
This is how crazy KG is. Look, I'm in Minnesota. So first of all, this nigga, he loved D-Rose. Rightfully so, we all do. But I was starting. He was like, when this nigga gonna get this motherfucking spot up?
Yo. Since you guys enjoyed part 1, I went ahead and made a part 2. I think you guys are gonna like this one. Make sure to like and subscribe and enjoy the video.
I don't know if y'all remember the series, but I remember game 1. CJ had a shot at the buzzer to win. And he took it and he missed. And PG was like, I gotta have that shot. You remember that? Like,
he said it in a press conference.
Yeah, I gotta have that shot. So CJ was my man. CJ was like, damn, was that a bad shot? I'm like, shit, bro, that's the best shot we could get. Like, you damn near hit that motherfucker. Like,
he did.
I'm like, bro, you wouldn't even have time to get the ball to him. I'm like, it's cool, bro. Like, it was a good shot. So he was a little frustrated about it. No bullshit. Game 4, the same exact shit happened. They threw it to CJ. That nigga CJ fired that bitch to PG and he missed it. Right? He hit like the side of the backboard. Tough ass shot.
Yeah.
Not even gonna come close. Get in the locker room. No bullshit. I'm like, damn, season over. Fuck it. I'm about to go to the crib. Oh, time to go have some fun. This nigga CJ, he did me like this. It was the Gatorade commercial. Vince Carter was funny as hell, bro. I've never seen a nigga so old that still wanted to play the whole game. I'm like, goddamn, Vince, you 47. He like, man, what's they keep taking me out for? I'm like, damn, nigga, you can't come out? He's like, shit, man, you don't want to win. God damn, you keep taking me out. I'm like,
that's
nigga,
crazy.
You are 43 and you're 22. You still don't want to come out? Yeah. That's how much, like, people
love the game.
And competitors, bro.
Yeah.
Because I'm over there hating, too, after a while. Shit, what you taking me out for? God damn, you giving me 18 minutes. Fuck, you keep us in, we can win this motherfucker. We make the playoffs. He like, you feel me? This is how crazy KG is. Look, I'm in Minnesota. So first of all, this nigga, he loved D-Rose. Rightfully so, we all do.
Yeah.
But I was starting. He was like, when this nigga gonna get this motherfucking spot up? Damn. I was in practice like, damn, nigga. But nigga, I wanted him to sign a jersey. We had a trainer, name was Clayton. I was like, man, he think KG is signing my jersey. He's like, it's how he talked like KG. He was like, Ticket don't sign no jerseys. Looked at him, I said, no, nigga, you gonna ask him to sign a jersey for you. Ticket don't sign no jerseys. I said, say less, bro. He didn't train the shit out of you. All right,
so.
Ticket don't sign no jerseys. I said, all right. I would love to speak to Jabari Parker.
Most definitely.
And he was a teammate of mine before.
Oh, for real?
In Atlanta, my second time when I was 00.
Oh, okay.
He the realest. You know why he the realest? When I first walked in the locker room, he laughed. You know I'm a clown. He's like, T, I fuck with you. I know you since I was a kid. And I was like, damn, for real. You know what I mean? He like, you from Indiana. And I'm like, damn, appreciate that. He was like, you came to a fucked up team. And I was like, why you say that? He was like, oh, you know why me and Evan don't play? I'm like, why y'all don't play? They told us we could only play 14 minutes. He was like, that's it. And I'm like, damn, they told you that? He was like, yeah. He was like, you about to have that meeting? Just watch. These dudes just lifting weights. No lie. Me, LP, he was like, yo, I can holler at you, T. Jabari Shoes, I told you. Y'all team was cheating, though. Let's keep it real. No, I remember when Bron came to Miami. Everybody was like, y'all, this weak. I ain't gonna lie, this weak. I ain't give a fuck. I was in my third year. I was like, I don't care. I just want to hoop. I'm trying to get paid. But I remember Joe. I was at Joe Johnson's house, and he was just like, why would they do this? He's like, that weak, man. Bro, he weak for that. Then when I got older and I seen KD do it, and I was like, why would he do this? Like, that's weak. But when y'all came together, that shit was crazy. I got a story we tried to run. You probably don't remember. I remember you came off the bench. We was in Memphis. You came off the bench this game. And you came and you had, if y'all know TA, I used to be like, man, this nigga dirty. This nigga had
Damn. This whole time I've been muted, guys. My bad, y'all. They got a courses on YouTube. That is insane. That's cool, man. Uggs. Watch Uggs video. Skip to. We'll see. We'll see what we can do, maybe. You know, we'll see. This is you right here, bro? This your channel? All right, let's check out Uggs' channel. Let's check it out. All right, first and foremost, bro already got the nice whip, got a nice crib. Congrats to you, man. Hope you're doing well.
My first client today at 9:20 is a double do-rag method. If you wake up and like you shower and you want your waves to lay down right away, you got a double rag off the rip. I'm gonna show you when I take it off.
Definitely Canadian.
Okay.
I think
Like, you get to
that
meet
that accent, you got like a Canadian accent.
so many.
I remember you too. Did I meet you in? Where did I meet you at? Was it Calgary?
People, like you get to meet so many people out here that you probably would have never thought you'd be cool with. Like whoever, like if I wasn't cutting hair, I probably realistically would never have talked to Terry ever, right? But me cutting hair opened the door for me to meet so many different people, and that's why cutting hair is such a sick job. Especially, that's why my biggest thing to push is to start cutting hair when you're in high school. Because imagine you're in high school and you get to socialize, your network, and the people you get to cut and talk to are adults in careers or who have tried and done multiple things. Barbering might not be your only thing that you do, but if you're like 16 and you start, by the time you're 18, 20, you will have so much knowledge of different industries that it'll be easier for you to pick. So it's literally like, yeah, you'll be there cutting hair for so many different people, and they're gonna put you on game onto maybe you want to be a doctor, maybe you want to be a real estate agent, maybe you want to do different type of businesses, maybe you want to be a car salesman. Barbering will just help you reach an audience of people that will put you on game. And if you're in high school and you work at a barbershop, your clientele will be much older than you. So imagine the type of knowledge you're gonna acquire from all these people.
Yeah, now I got two things that are on my list. I want to go to BC and build the submarines.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Like submarines, like that.
Yeah. It's part of my work. Giving cruise ships and all that.
It's so cool, man. Like I do miss that. All the clients, bro. Everybody has their own life, their own movie. You know, like it's their world. We just living in it. You know what I'm saying? And Uggs, you got that perspective too. It's your world, they living in it. But when you start to hear people's worlds, their life, what they're thinking about, what their ambitions are, it's pretty cool, man. You know, having those conversations with your clients is dope.
See, this is a prime example of meeting somebody in the field that is like uncommon, or hearing things that are
Submarines.
He said he wants to. He said 2 things that are on his list, and one was to build a submarine. I was genuinely confused when he said submarine. I had to make sure he means like the submarine, the yellow ones that go underwater.
Facts.
I don't know if they're all yellow, but because like I had to make sure, because when's the last time you really heard someone talk about submarine? And this fellow is my age, so it's like, it's insane. He's 24 years old, and his goal is to build a submarine or work on a project. So
He's how old?
imagine if that's like something
You
you're
sure?
interested
We gotta check his birth certificate. We gotta check his birth certificate.
And it's so simple. You can ask to talk to him, and then ask to shadow him, ask him for guidance and steps. And most people are really willing to help you pursue your next goal. And that's why I say it's best for high school students, especially that don't know what they want to do. You're gonna meet people, like imagine, this is my first video and the guy's talking about submarines. If you guys met all my clients, you guys would be shocked with the type of things they do. This is networking done in the barbershop. I finished my regular cuts for the day, but I got my friend coming. I'm gonna do him. I wanted to do him late so that I could record a video. So I got me some McDonald's to keep me for the rest. But this is my last day eating McDonald's, you know, I gotta start cooking after this. Right now we're about to give Obed a transformation.
I ain't got to cut in a hot minute, you know?
Yeah. Usually he has waves, so. But I'm trying to record a tutorial with M50. So I'm gonna watch this guy, Sean Cuts, and he's gonna show me real quick how to set up my camera, because I'm having a hard time.
Now that we have the spin down, I want to go ahead and get ready to do.
So it's currently 1 a.m. and I was editing the video. See, 1:59, so 2 a.m. and I'm low-key hungry. And it's because I took a nap. I shouldn't have took.
That's cool, man. I like the concept. Similar to what, you know, Vic Blends does with his podcast. It's really cool. You know, the hair cutting, the interviews and stuff. But yeah, man, talking to your clients is so dope. Carlos, pie counting in Canada, just what it's just a whole nother monster, man. I'd love to partner with an accounting firm already in Canada, but you know, it's different laws, a whole different ball game. So nothing in the near future for us being in Canada. You know, one of the things that I'm working on too is I don't know how we're gonna do this, but I gotta start like sponsoring barbers and stuff, because I can't make content no more. You know, I'm barely in the shop cutting hair and stuff, but at the same time, it's gotta be profitable. So, you know, what is the ROI of sponsoring barbers? We tried the affiliate links, and the affiliate links doesn't really help. We need content creators using our stuff, using our products, stuff like that, and then paying them for that. But we need the constant content. The problem is, we've tried it. We've dipped our toes in it, and we do pay people now, but we don't get consistent content. And so what I've been doing is just running ads, because ads, I don't have to go after them to go show the product to people. It's gonna show product to people. And so I've thought of just focusing on that and not sponsoring barbers. But it's difficult, you know, because you want barbers to feel like, you know, they're valued and they're getting paid well. But there's no way to track an ROI there. So you might be paying a barber whatever it is a month to sponsor them, and you're getting, one video a week from them or one video a month from them, and the ROI just isn't there. And then you have to kind of then you have the painful conversation of having to break up with that barber, So it's difficult. What would you guys do, One of the things that I thought about doing is just sending out care packages with our products to people who already create products. Everybody else does it, right? And maybe that's what I need to start doing. But I got to wait till I get all of our inventory in, and then we'll ship care packages out, even to the micro influencers, right? If I can get their addresses, I'll ship them out. What? I've seen these videos pop up, these pop the balloons. I didn't know the amount of brain rot that this causes. She's on episode 52, 1.4 million views. This girl done. But that's all she does is relationship stuff. Good for her, man. Good for her. But they all get crazy views. Crazy views. Insane. I'm glad I'm glad I'm married. Yeah, funny. Y'all are funny. Yeah, this is getting crazy.
And spring kicks off the home buying season, but the market is soft this year. Home resales were down nearly 6% last month, the slowest March since 2009. Skylar Henry reports one of the hardest hit markets is Florida.
Myra Villalona is sitting on what she thought was real estate gold.
This is the master bedroom, and we redid the floors, the walls.
She bought this 2-bed, 2-bath condo near Fort Lauderdale in 2021 for $145,000, hoping to pounce on pandemic-era real estate prices.
This is really a great community to live in. It's just not an investment right now. No, it's not a good one, at least.
Villalona's condo has been on the market since last November. Despite spending $20,000 upgrading the kitchen and the bathrooms, she's seen virtually no potential buyers.
We lowered the prices twice.
Why is that?
Because it wasn't moving.
Lots of owners cannot sell because some buyers have been scared off from a surge in special assessment fees that are used to make safety upgrades to older condominiums. After a new state law passed following the partial building collapse of the Champlain Towers in Surfside in 2021, Older buildings like Villalonga's that are 3 stories or higher are now required to increase inspections and build up a reserve to fund restoration projects. The fees are paid by the homeowners, which can range in the tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It happened to me 3 times already. They changed the assessments.
When we're talking about dollars, what's changed?
Well, it used to be 20, and then they went to 35, and now I owe over 50.
That's $50,000 she now owes. Villalona says she isn't giving up on finding a buyer, but for now she's hoping to rent it.
Looking back on the decision that you made in 2021, do you think you would have still done it?
Probably not this one.
I've never liked buying condos, anything like condos, townhomes, man, because of the HOAs, the anything can happen. They can raise the fees, and people are getting hosed right now. I think a lot of people are leaving Florida now because although home prices were cheap at the time, and they still are to especially Northerners, property taxes are crazy, home insurance is crazy out here, car insurance is crazy out here. It's true. And it's getting worse. And I wonder what DeSantis is doing about it. Speaking of which, let's see if DeSantis has even talked about. See if I can find something. Well, speaking of,
we have not given up on looking for answers to Florida.
That is doing.
Let's see.
This coverage collapse. We have been fighting for you, helping you navigate high costs.
This was 2 months ago.
For home insurance as they continue to push your budget. But today, some good news for Citizens policyholders right here in South Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis announcing premiums are going down. Matt Cesney was at Florida International University in Miami this afternoon with the governor and breaks down the savings.
Yeah, Governor Ron DeSantis came here to Florida International University's Wall of Wind, a testing and research center for the effects of hurricanes. And he was talking about insurance. Governor DeSantis says rates for many Citizens policyholders in South Florida going down in 2025. He says close to 20% of Citizens policies in Palm Beach County will see some reduction in premiums this year. Citizens had been asking for a rate hike that averaged statewide at about 14%. The governor says the reason Citizens didn't get one it wanted is because of stability lately in Florida's insurance market.
Our view is that especially in Southeast Florida, that given that you really haven't had many storms here, that it's not just good because we want people to pay less. Obviously we do, but it's justifiable to say that those rates should go down.
The governor also had good news for auto insurance, announcing that 3 large carriers in the state, Geico, Progressive, and State Farm, plan rate reductions that statewide average between 6 and 10%. At Florida International University in Miami, Matt Cesney reporting.
So I was wondering, how does the state government in Florida, how do they help lower insurance rates? So for homeowner insurance reforms, the way that they lowered the rates was by eliminating one-way attorney fees, restricting assignment of benefits, this is good. Restricting assignment of benefits is this. Legislation curtailed the practice of AOB, where policyholders sign over their insurance benefits to contractors, leading to inflated claims and increased litigation. Yeah, because what contractors will do is they'll see how much they can get the insurance to cover, and they'll just write up their invoices based on what they believe they'll be able to get, and they'll try to get as much as they can. And those costs end up going back to the policyholders. Another thing they did was they established a $2 billion reinsurance fund. That's cool. And so these rate reductions, as a result of these reforms, Citizens Property Insurance Corporation announced statewide homeowners insurance premium decreases averaging 5.6%. Approximately 75% of policyholders in Miami-Dade County are experiencing rate reductions. That's cool. And so they something similar here with, I guess, the vehicles, with car insurance, eliminating the one-way attorney fees and banning AOB for auto glass repairs. That's not good for those auto glass repair sales guys, right? That are always going business to business. But that gave a decrease of 10% with Geico, 8.1% with Progressive. So this was 2 months ago. I'm over here talking shit, and people are getting it done. So I haven't looked at my policies. I probably should see how much I'm saving, if I'm saving anything. But you know, it pays to do some research, so you don't sound stupid talking shit about the state's governor, but he's actually trying to do stuff about it. So that's good. Kelvin, I used to do 30-minute appointments, 45 with haircut and beard. All right, you guys, that's it for me tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Today was kind of a slow live stream. I'll be back tomorrow at some point in time. Yeah, have a good night.